Hey there everyone, it is me, Justin11-3D, back from the dead to show you what I have been working on the past 9 months. As some may know, back in 2019 I developed the Blender Sonic Adventure Support add-on, which added support to Blender for importing and exporting 3D data formats used by Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. This kicked off proper 3D modding for those games, and since then countless modders have used it to create amazing model mods, ranging from character models to whole new stages, and I cannot describe how much joy it brings to me seeing the adventure modding community thrive thanks to the Blender add-on. As it happens with every piece of software, the add-on grew with every bug fix and new feature. At some point, a developer named It's Easy actually joined in and took over development, and also improved on the user documentation. Unfortunately, neither of us has had proficient experience developing a project like this before, so the add-on slowly started to deteriorate, with more crashes and other weird behaviors appearing. That's why, in December of 2022, I decided it was time for a full rewrite of the entire add-on, making it more stable, faster and user-friendly than ever before. Together, with the help of It's Easy actually, other members of the XX modding team, and the many beta testers, we created a new add-on that should stand the test of time. This new add-on goes by the name of Sonic Adventure Blender IO, or short SAIO, and in this video I'll showcase its improvements and new features. But first off, why a rewrite? Wouldn't it have been easier to just fix the old add-on and get that working again? Well, yes and no. We certainly could have just fixed any occurring issues and called it a day, but that would have only helped short term, as the underlying code was still a mess and difficult to work with. There was also the issue of the programming language itself, Python, which Blender uses for add-on programming. Python is a dynamically typed scripting language that gets compiled at runtime, which makes it very easy to create shorter scripts, as well as running the same code on different platforms without much hassle. But this also makes it very slow compared to statically typed languages like C++, C# or Rust, especially so when working with large amounts of data, as the add-on had to do with more complex models. That's why, for the rewrite, I wanted to employ a different technique, running C# code in Python. You see, since 2019, every now and then I spend time working on my own C# code library for handling Sonic Adventure 3D models. By the end of 2022, it was finally able to handle several different 3D conversion processes that I wanted to try and utilize within Blender. And it worked wonderfully. I immediately saw a performance increase of like 100 times, which allowed me to export complex models in mere seconds, as opposed to sometimes minutes. This settled it. I would start working on a complete rewrite of the add-on, and this time I'll make it future-proof. But why settle for a simple rewrite? With C# code at my hand, I could add support for many more things, like importing and exporting texture files, as they are used by the games. This would remove the tedious process of having to use a texture editor every time you wanted to modify the texture list, as now you could directly edit those inside Blender and export them with a single button press. Or, well, technically 3 button presses, but still less and faster than using the external texture editor program. But that still wasn't enough for me. If I did a rewrite, I wanted to make it big, add something that was essentially impossible up until then. Sonic Adventure 2 event support. You heard me right, I decided to add support for importing and exporting Sonic Adventure 2 cutscenes. Although only the full ones for now, as those are self-dependent, unlike mini-events, which take place inside levels. Still, this would revolutionize SA2 modding on its own, even if only by a certain degree, and I was fully determined to pull this off. Unfortunately, this proved to be easier said than done. Events were not thoroughly researched, and we still don't know everything to this day. I had a lot of work ahead of myself, but luckily, I had a modder called EndUser by my side, who had extensive experience with events, especially since he played a big role in the cutscene revamp mod. Together, we researched the inner workings of SA2 events, alongside which I put together a program to replay cutscenes outside of the game. It helped us confirm how certain mechanics worked, and will serve as the basis for a future effect editing tool. Armed with everything I had learned, I spent weeks writing code for reading and writing events and integrating it into the new Blender add-on. Scene cuts, shape animations, upgrade models, shadow models, everything slowly came into place, until I was finally able to import and export SA2 cutscenes from within Blender. And as a proof of concept, I put together a small mod that replaced the characters in the battle opening with Chow, and named it Chow in Space 2 Battle. Yet we still don't really understand how everything in events works, especially lighting, particle generators, and whatever else event models can be marked as. On the other hand, we found an unused visual effect internally named Blur. It was basically intended to be a type of motion blur, similar to Sonic Adventure's Onion Blur. Unfortunately, it never made its way into the game, most likely due to insufficient hardware. It was only ever tried to be used in the first cutscene for the last story. I implemented the effect into my cutscene player, and here's how it would have looked. Perhaps in the future, it can be restored and be used in-game. Aside from textures and events, there are several new features all over the add-on. Correct armature visuals, which helps you animate and identify how an armature interacts with the meshes. Better animation export and import, including an animation test baker for looking at how an animation gets exported, without having to actually export it. You can even mess with the parameters to see which ones suit you best. Shape and camera animations are now supported as well. Path curves received an overhaul, now done with just a curve, instead of needing many objects to store directions. Texture name lists, for models that may require them, such as many object models in SA2. And last but not least, automatic updating has been added from the get-go, which the old add-on received in post by EaseEasy actually. All these additions and improvements warranted a new user interface. Similar to how the old add-on inserted new toolbar menus to the 3D view, the new one does as well, this time split up into 3 different toolbars: Tools, Scene Properties and Object Properties. While you can still find all the property panels inside the property menu, the toolbar allows you to view all relevant panels in the same space, making it easier to navigate the add-on related properties. We also added the ability to open the manual for every single operator and property that has been added. Simply right-click what you want to learn more about and then select Online Manual. This will take you to the new and all-improved user manual, where you can read everything to know about the add-on. Even the most complicated functionalities are explained, and there are already guides detailing how certain processes work, but we have yet to write full guides on creating model mods. With all these changes, Blender projects made with the old add-on won't work out of the box, as the new add-on has a new data model for storing properties. But don't worry, we have added migration tools to help with that. Simply open your file, press the check for migrate data button, and then migrate the data. It's as easy as that. Armatures are a bit more complicated, as we changed how the root bone is handled. Before, the armature object itself was interpreted as the root bone, but now we use an actual bone for that, so that it can be properly animated. We added a button to help with this. Simply select your armature, press it, and voila! A new root bone has been added. And as mentioned before, paths now don't need 1000 objects to store directions. As with armatures, you can convert those via a special migration button. This is about it. There have been many smaller changes too, but running those down will take hours. If you run into errors or other issues, open an issue on our GitHub repository or tell us on the XHacks Discord. all relevant links are in the description. We have already had people report issues, which should be fixed in the upcoming weeks. And with all these improvements, the old add-on is retiring. It will not receive any more updates and is best uninstalled in the first place, as the new add-on is meant to completely replace it. I am eager to see what modders, be it veterans or new ones, create with these new tools at hand. The add-on is already being utilized to create new mods, such as the SA2 Resync mod by Hedgewedge, which reanimates mouths and cutscenes to fit with the English voice acting.
It all starts with this. A jewel containing the ultimate power.
That's the Chaos Emerald! Now I know what's going on. The military has mistaken me for the likes of you. So, where do you think you're going with that emerald?
That should be about it for now. I'll start work on the reported issues and then get back to developing Sonic Chronicles Reimagined, which I will now move from Unity to Godot, because Unity is no longer a trustworthy company and I do not feel safe working with their game engine anymore. I hope to finish the conversion by the end of the year, and I'll see about streaming the process on YouTube too. Alright, that's everything. Have a great day and see you all around. Bye!